to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Well, our guest today is Jennifer Borwick, a full-time realtor with Chase International, who brings a rare blend of deep local insight and heartfelt client care to every West Lake Tahoe transaction. With 39 years in that community and 12 years in real estate, she's helped buyers and sellers navigate everything from cozy $380,000 cabins to stunning $5.5 million lakefront estates. Jennifer's 7 years of staging and design experience, paired with 3 decades as a registered nurse and nurse practitioner, give her a unique ability to listen, communicate, and guide clients with both expertise and compassion. She's not just selling homes, she's caring for people through one of life's biggest transitions. Welcome to the podcast, Jennifer.
Thank you. If I may make a slight correction, I sell the north shore of Lake Tahoe. So Lake Tahoe is quite large.
Yes.
So the west shore and the north shore, all the way to the state line of Nevada and Truckee, which is
very
about
good.
Tahoe City.
Awesome. Great.
Just
Thanks.
so people know where I'm selling.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. So tell us about your real estate story in your own words.
That's interesting. So I was a nurse and then I became a nurse practitioner. I did that. For my complete total career in that profession was 30 years. In like 2008, I started my staging and design business because I was looking at homes with my realtor and she kept saying, you should start a staging business, because every house I went into, I was like, they should do this, they should do that. This house would look so much better, on and on. And so I broke my elbow and I was out of work for 6 months and I said, I'm going to take a staging class. And I did that and started my own little business, started working for realtors. So I was simultaneously working as a nurse. I traveled twice a month to the Bay Area to do that. And then on my days off, I was building my staging career, which then led into different types of house design. People would call me for specific things. Hey, we need a color in here. Can you tell us, we just want you to tell us where to move the furniture, everything to, hey, we just bought a house. Can you set it up for us? So I kind of worked the whole gamut, but primarily for realtors selling homes. And then I was about 51, I think. I got pretty tired of the driving. Throughout my career, because I had lived here for so long with the snow, it was a lot of long hours, a lot of driving, and I was just ready for something different. So I said, what the hell? I'll study for the real estate exam. I knew nothing, and I mean nothing, about real estate other than that I had bought a house. That was it. So went through all that, took the exam, passed the exam, was 52, and continued to work with my nursing job. Rule of thumb, don't give up your day job as a new realtor. Did that simultaneously while I was learning real estate for about a year and a half. And then finally was able to just say, okay, I'm just going to let nursing go and put all my energy into becoming a realtor, which there's trials and tribulations. And, it's very competitive where I live. And it took me about really 5 years to feel like I had sort of built the business to the point where if I just kept working, it would keep going and growing. And also I feel like for me, I'm a special case because I'm a house person. And so that was my draw. A lot of people come into real estate as a second career and they come out of the mortgage business. So they're good with numbers and finance. Some people come in from sales background. Mine was service oriented, and I love houses, and houses speak to me. So I use that to my advantage.
That's awesome. That's part of what I think is so attractive about our industry is people come at it from so many different angles. And Cory and I both come from kind of a service slash educational background. And so it's so fun for us to like interact with other agents and see all the different pathways of how people, landed in this field. And
Absolutely.
it really diversifies our profession, which can lead to some muddy water, but but it's also like a really fascinating part of the work that we do. Like you, Cory and I work in a pretty strong second home market. That's not all that's in our market. We're in the Western North Carolina area outside of Asheville.
Mhm.
And I know Lake Tahoe is a huge second home resort market. So unpack that for us. What makes that market really unique? How do buyer motivations really differ when they're purchasing a vacation or a luxury home versus a primary residence? Can you unpack that for us?
First and foremost, I would say 80% of our second home market comes from the San Francisco Bay Area because it's between 3 to 5 hours driving, depending on traffic and what part of the Bay Area you're in. So it's just sort of the recreation escape because we have both summer and winter phenomenal here, and people can ski and or they can boat on the lake. There's hiking, there's mountain biking. It's outdoor mecca, right? So that's where our essential buyers audience comes from. We have about, I'd say maybe 5% of the people coming in looking for full-time residences. And this year I was fortunate. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of buy and sell all with locals this year. Every single deal, which was just I've never done that. And I don't think any of my friends have, which was unique. And I felt fortunate in that because typically sometimes, you're meeting people, you don't know anything about them, right? And all you know is they want to buy a house here. The Our market is unique in that it's pretty high dollar to come in to buy a second home. So a single family residence, like a decent, livable, not fancy, basic house, $1 million entry price point. So I'm mostly dealing with people who are quite wealthy. They already own a home in the Bay Area or maybe multiple homes in other locations. And they have the ability to come into this market with that amount of money to make a purchase. So, in that being said, I'm dealing with kind of the 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 percenters. I don't know how else to explain that. In that they're usually highly educated. They've bought and sold numerous homes. They typically know what they want and they're willing to wait for it. So there's a lack of urgency to make a purchase. They may look for 2 years. They may look for 3 years. They may look for 3 years and never buy a house because they have their criteria and they know what it is. If it doesn't come along, they may not buy. You hope they buy. I'd say I've only had a few that never bought, but for the most part, they can be picky because they have the means to be, and they expect to get what they want because they have the finances to do that.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a completely different mindset for the buyer. And then on the list side, we get a lot of, oh, it was grandma's house. Okay, so then it passed down to the siblings, and then the siblings can't agree. So let's sell the house. So there's 4 siblings, and then you walk in and you go, looks like grandma's house too. Um, and then, they want to cash out. And then that's a whole different element of working with the group dynamic of a family and then trying to explain to them that, yeah, we do need to put some money in the house if you want to get this price. So on both ends of the spectrum, we have different than a residential market, both buyers and sellers. Then you have your sellers who bought the home 5 years ago. I sold them the home and they're like, we want to upgrade. Great. I know the home. I can sell the home. We'll upgrade you to the next level because a lot of the finance and the money that comes through her, not a lot, but a good proportion is inherited. So, oh, so and so left me, finally got my inheritance. I'm 60 years old. We want a lakefront or whatever the story is. Or people selling tech companies. That's a huge one. And or just the general tech market, although that's kind of waning right now because of all the changes in the economics. But we do have a lot of tech money that comes here.
Oh, that's great. So interesting. So I kind of want to get into more of this second home. How much, first of all, first question, how much of your business is second homes? And then the second question is like, Does it work seasonally, and how do you handle that in your business?
We have an extremely seasonal market. Winter tends to be quiet, meaning people will leave the homes on that are okay to show in winter. Some homes are extremely hard to show in winter if they haven't sold. But our inventory definitely dwindles in the winter. For myself and my business, winter was always a time to, like, I built my website during winter. I worked on marketing packages during winter. I worked on all the things I didn't have time for when I was doing transactions, making sure everybody's in my database, mailers, taking classes, getting my CEs done, everything you could think of that you can't do when you're running multiple transactions. I took the advantage of winter to do. And we still have open houses in winter. It's just you have to know your market. You do your open houses at the ski areas where there's lots of people driving by. And then spring comes along, depending on this how much snow we have. We can get some pretty big winters here. Houses will start coming on, depending on the winter, April, March, April, May, June. By June, we've got pretty good inventory. They will continue to come on through the summer, and then they'll start selling. There's pent-up inventory in the spring, so they sell for more money in the spring. Kind of the leftovers, as I call them, are on the market in the fall. Now, this fall was unique because we had a buyer surge because of interest rates changing. So people are still putting houses on because they're selling right now because our market really started moving in the end of August, beginning of September. So, it's partly market fluctuation, but we do have a seasonal trend, and it shows that people spend more money in the spring because they want to get in their house and have it for summer. And in the fall is when you can get the best deal. The most price reductions occur, and sellers really want to let go of that house before another winter. So buyers come in and they negotiate like crazy in the fall. And that's not true in every circumstance, but in a lot of them it is. So the seasonality is huge here because of our weather.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. We get a bit of that as well, not probably as extreme as in your market, but yeah, we definitely use the winter months to kind of work on our business and, get our systems and our yeah, just the resources that help us the rest of the year, really spend time on that. That's actually where my next question comes from, is in terms of like systems that you employ in your business, maybe even like daily or weekly habits. What kinds of things, what are the handful of things that make the biggest impact on your business?
Okay, that's a great question. I was fortunate enough to sign up with a brokerage that invested in their agents. And one of the things they did was they gave us free ninja courses. We had other courses too. But for me, the big standout was mindset because I came from nursing. I came from a family that didn't have a lot of money. I worked my way up in the world. And I didn't recognize it, but my mindset was not of abundance. It was of scarcity. Oh, I hope I get one more deal. I have to pay my mortgage, whatever mindset you're going through. Through my own resources and the classes and just sort of creating my own way in this profession, I've come up with a morning routine that I do almost every morning. Like this morning, this is a little early for me. I didn't do it, but it's meditation. I do like at least 30 minutes because that's important for me to stay grounded and to be calm. And then I have a book where I have all my gratitudes, my affirmations, my daily goals, my weekly goals, my monthly goals. I write those over and over again. Every day it's a different goal. What are you going to do today? Today, I'm going to go to open house. I'm going to get a buyer for this house. Sometimes that happens. Because if you don't have the mindset, remember, we're all one huge energetic source working together, and you're not putting that out, it's probably not going to come to you. The morning routine is unbelievably important. I'll go through all my lists. I'll rewrite my lists, what actually has to get done today. Obviously, if I'm in a lot of transactions, I'm just focusing on that. But I'm also looking 2 weeks down the line. Okay, remember, you have to write this letter for this listing or whatever it may be. So that daily, weekly. Oh, okay. I pick up my phone. I'm 63 years old. Okay, I didn't have a cell phone until I was 40 years old. That's when they were designed, right? I mean, that's when you could buy one. So I pick up my phone, unless it says it's a spam call. And lots of times it's junk call and I get off. But sometimes someone's calling me from some area I don't know because I send out mailers. And remember, our listings, the addresses are not here. They're all over California and sometimes all over the country. So I may pick up a call and someone will say, "Hey, I got this mailer and I have a house that I want to sell." Oh, great. And yeah, and then they tell me later, I called 5 agents, no one picked up but you. And when I pick up, I am ready to do business. Hello, good afternoon. This is Jennifer. Can I help you? They're like, wow, okay. So we start off on a great note, right? And another important factor that some of the younger agents in my area don't recognize because they have their phones constantly on silent is that our sellers and some of our buyers, you know, but a huge amount of our sellers are in my age group. They've had the house, they inherited the house, they want to move up, and also buyers who have inherited money and or have sold their and they're ready to retire and they want their retirement home. They're over 50. What do? They call. Okay, that's their first mode of operation. Not always, sometimes it's email. But when you pick up that phone, you are immediately doing yourself the biggest service you can do. So I pick up my calls and then I am super responsive to people. Someone emails me, texts me, call me, I get right back to them. Hey, I got your mailer. I have a house at 123 Main Street. Just wondering, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get right back to them. I say, can I go see the house today or tomorrow or whenever, as soon as I can? Get on it. It is extremely competitive where I am. I think we have 750 agents in our MLS, and they don't all work as hard as I do. But those types of habits, and there has to be a habit, pay off. Another habit that I had to engage, which I had not ever done because I always had a regular schedule, was because of my age, I just put work first. My daughter was growing up, my husband was working, work was first. That means that a lot of times I'm working 7 days a week for months on end during the busy season because work first, because that's how you get ahead. If you say, no, I'm not going to go show you a house at 7 o'clock because I got to go to a party, some other agent will do it. I wasn't willing to lose the business. I was willing to put aside some of the things that I wanted to do in my life for a future goal, which now I've reached. So it's a hard thing to say and understand, but to get ahead in this business, it's pretty much imperative.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, especially in the beginning. You kind of have to just open yourself up to opportunities, and whether that's, different lead sources or things like that, you kind of have to grind if you want to
Yeah.
make it be successful. And I absolutely want to highlight what you just said about, hi, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? Like, I think that is something that I'm going to change in my business immediately. I typically am like, hi, it's Cory. How can, I don't ever say how can I help you? And I think that's an amazing question because it's service first, and you show that just by answering the phone. So that's beautiful. I love that. Can you talk to us through, I'm going to throw a fun question to you. Can you talk to us through a challenging time in your real estate career and how you came out of that, or what you're working through still that's challenging?
That's a great question. By far, the most challenging time period was working through the pandemic because we really got hit hard in the pandemic here. We went from our normal market, which was cyclical and, you're fairly steady, right? To literally the way I describe it was people were driving up here in SUVs with duffel bags full of cash. And I mean, like you would write, you, a listing comes on, you call, how many offers do you have? Okay, you got 5. Okay, talk to your people. Oh, let's just put 200 on top of that. This was like, people were insane.
And
Now
they
that was
had
great for
cash
the
cash,
realtors.
right?
Cash, I
Cash
was
cash.
all
I
cash.
had
And
never
if you
heard of
didn't have
cash
cash
cash.
and you didn't remove your contingencies, you're out. And during that time, I was using Sync. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Commission Sync, as my lead gen source. I was still in the process of really building everything, and I was fortunate in that I did do a lot of business through Sync. Now, um, what is the most stressful time period and what's the most challenging for me is when you have multiple transactions going on, and maybe you've got one that has a glitch, it has to be worked through, and then your time is just never your own. You're still working at 9 o'clock at night. And then, you're working on the next one who calls. And then, you got to show there's just so much going on during those times. And I've always been this way, and some agents are or are not. But, having a good transaction coordinator will save your life. And being super organized will also save you. And even if means that you're organizing yourself at 4 in the morning. That's what you got to do to get through that day, to get everything checked off. And I also had one exceedingly stressful sale that I did with a house that had some problems, and the sellers were in lawsuits, and there was a lot going on with that. It took me 18 months to get the house onto the market because the house had been red tagged. There was like basically a crime in the house. There's a lot of things going on. But I stuck with them, you know, and I hired everybody I needed to hire, and we got it sold. You just,
Wow.
you know, you have to be prepared for anything to come out of left field in this
That's
business,
right.
and you just never know what it's going to be.
So
So,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about your transition from a nursing career into real estate. I can sort of piece together what I think some of those skills and characteristics are from nursing that you brought into real estate. I would think that's one of them. Like you just kind of always have to be prepared for
Yes.
anything,
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. Like
Oh, that's so
what
funny
have
you
you
brought that up.
really
So,
applied?
you know, obviously the top three things. Number one, service provider. That's like when I first came into real estate, you know, the brokerage gives you classes and they'd say, remember, this is a service-oriented profession. And I just laughed. I'm like, oh, well, I got that part down. I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that. So yeah, clients first, always. You take care of your clients, and guess what? They give you referrals. They like you. They feel like they can trust you. They know you're going to do a good job. You worked hard. They're going to tell their friends. Okay, so service first. Being organized. There's so many parts of a transaction and so many parts of just putting all the pieces together that organization is either sort of, I see it as an inherent skill or not. For me, I was fortunate. I've always been organized, so that's helped me. And then there was one other thing. Oh, yeah, as my broker put it, because I drove her completely insane, because I never stopped asking questions in the beginning, because I was always so afraid of making a mistake. And she just would look at me and she goes, remember, if you make a mistake, no one's going to die. Because she says she always told everybody, she just asks a million questions because when she was a nurse, if she made a mistake, someone could die. And I never really thought about that, but it served me well because I got my questions answered and I learned a lot. And I don't know if I'd ever put those 2 points together, but I also didn't want to make a mistake. You know, in California, we have an exceedingly complex contractual setup here. I mean, we're the leader in forms in the country because we have attorneys writing our forms. Our forms are challenging, long, a lot of legal language, and there's a lot to know and understand, and you don't want to misadvise people. So, because I came from a medical background, I also have a master's degree from UCSF, which I had a lot of advanced training in statistics and analysis of data, which I use every day in real estate. Those things, you know, I was able to carry them over, and they definitely have served me well. Like, for example, when I wrote my master's thesis, I had to defend that thesis with data. When I put in an offer, I defend my price with the comps, all my data. I say, this is why we think it's worth this. And I can write those emails in my sleep. And I think it's more challenging for people coming who don't have those skills coming in.
Mm. Well, a great lead into my next question is what are like the first elements you look at when walking into a property for comping it out?
Okay, it's a great question. So I'm fortunate in that I have the intuitive skill to walk into a house and I can evaluate it in 5 minutes. And I know other agents cannot because I'm with them on tour and I just look around and they don't see what I see, right? First thing, walk into a house, the light in the house. Where's the light coming from? How much light is there in the house? The bones of the house. Is there a vaulted ceiling? Is there not a vaulted ceiling? How does the floor plan fit together? And I'm thinking through all these things in my process, whether it's with a buyer or a seller, as to how can it be improved, right? Because I keep up with the buyer trends. I know what people want here. So depending on if I'm looking at it from a buyer or seller perspective, I see the house a little differently. Um, Colors in the house. How can the color palette be changed to make it more appealing? I'm always going for max appeal for max dollar. So, and if it's a buyer and they walk in, they go, I just don't like how this kitchen doesn't have an island. I'm like, well, my husband's a builder. We've built a number of homes and he works on remodels. So I just say, you can redo this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. So my design background and my background building homes with my husband has been invaluable, invaluable. I do have the list of hang on, I wrote it down. Evaluate a home in 5 minutes. Okay. Light curb appeal. Okay. You drive it to the house. Immediately I'm thinking, okay, they need this, because I have a vision. I have a component in my brain that I don't think a lot of people have, and I call it my little house vision. When I see something, I see how it can be immediately with colors, placement, everything. That's an innate gift and skill that I was given. And so I've used it to the fullest. So curb appeal, maintenance. Are the stairs falling apart? All these little things that people haven't done, especially in a second home market, people don't take usually as good of care as their primary home. I'm just watching like, oh, are the roof beams falling? Is there gutters falling down? Everything, the maintenance is huge. Bones. So that's bones has to do with, we have a house here we can recreate. If we just do these four things, you're going to be able to charge 200,000 more. And so I can see that. So recreating, and that comes from either has a bones or it doesn't. What exists and what works, what can we change? Talked about that. Floor plan. Floor plan is vital. It's hard to often change floor plans, but if you have a poor floor plan or one that's challenging for buyers to understand, then you need to address that with as the best staging you can. Meaning like, this is a weird space right here. What do we do with it? What do we put here? Do we put a little two chairs and a table? What do we put? So that's a huge one. Color palettes, we talked about that. Okay, then where is the best place to spend money? Seller will ask me. I'll tell them, I'll say, this is what you need to do right here. Oh, okay. Sometimes they listen to me. A lot of times they do. Um, and then there's another one that I don't think people talk enough about. And I just developed my own word for it. I call it fatal flaws. Okay, so if a house has a fatal flaw, it's something that typically cannot be easily fixed. And that can be a whole number of things. And typically, those are the things that are not shown in the photographs in the MLS. So I may know what the fatal flaw is at a house. A buyer picks that house, they want to look at it. I let them walk around, talk about it. And then I say, well, this over here is something that's going to be exceedingly hard to fix and address. And this is a flaw in the house. I don't call it a fatal flaw to a buyer, but I see those things. And when I'm pricing, if that house has a fatal flaw that's super hard to fix, I give it a ding on the price, because the buyers eventually will figure out, like a house with a roof where the snow sheds right on top of where you walk in the house, that means you have to shovel. I mean, sometimes we can have 20 feet of snow here. So that's a flaw. A super steep driveway, that's never in the photos. That's a flaw. And a number of other things.
Yeah, we understand. those
Yeah.
those crazy steep driveways are not often in the photos.
And when it's icy and snowy, and if it's a north-facing driveway, it can be a really big
Oh
problem.
my
And,
goodness.
people are looking at properties in July. It's gorgeous here.
Right.
And you have to remind them, remember, it snows. And when it snows, this is what's going to happen here. And people who haven't really experienced as much snow as we get, they hear you, but they don't quite totally get it. That's part
Exactly.
of my
Well,
disclosures to them. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Well, keeping on the theme of five, you just talked about how you evaluate a home in 5 minutes. What would you say, real quick, are the top five skills every successful agent must have?
Okay, I have wrote it down. This is like super important. And I'm always
Awesome.
talking to people about this because they say, why is so and so not doing so well? And I said, well, they're missing one of the top five skills. And you pretty much look around top agents, they pretty much tick all these boxes. So first, being a market expert, hands down, know your market, know everything about your market, understand the trends in your market, knowing your area, because here people say, I'm really into mountain biking. I want to be near the mountain biking trails. Okay, so I know where those trails are. I know which neighborhoods those are. And or the converse. Hey, I really want to have my boat on a buoy. Okay, not every property has a buoy here. What are the properties that have buoys? So that's part of knowing your market. Of course, you have to understand your statistical trending and what's going on with pricing. It's vital. The other part that people forget about being a market expert is part of your job as a realtor is being able to translate what is happening to the market to the general public. They may have never taken statistics. They may not understand statistical trends. You can say it in more plain language, Right now, we're having a lot of offers coming in under asking. It's trending the market down. Oh, I understand. Yeah, so things are selling at 97% of ask. Okay, what does that mean? Well, if it was listed at this, it sells at that, and this is how we get from there to here. Oh, okay, because some people just need the education, and it's really important, and then they learn to trust you. Okay, second, good communication skills, hands down, you cannot miss that one. It goes both ways. Talking to sellers, meeting people at an open house. Okay, pretty much built my business off open houses. Right away, being able to communicate with people and having confidence, okay, in your communication. And that also translates into writing detailed emails, your email conversations. Okay, I deal with attorneys, doctors, engineers, tech producers. These are top people in the country. They expect professional language. They expect that you are going to be able to communicate effectively. Okay, and then that communication translates over into translating contracts. Our contracts are long. Our purchase agreement is 14 pages long. You got to know what's in there and you got to be able to explain it to them. Well, what does this mean? Why did you check that box? It's part of communication. And then, of course, house expert. I call myself house whisperer. We talked a lot about that already. A vital skill. And that's the biggest one the agents don't have. They don't have the house intuition that's undeniably put me into the zone I'm in, hands down. And then proficient in the English language, that goes along with communication. But because our contracts are so complex, I have dealt with newer agents or people that didn't go to college or are not as educated that kind of don't really understand parts of the contracts. And unless they have really good broker supervision or a mentor, they kind of miss that and they're not giving a good service because of that. Proficient in English language, especially in California, it's like 43 documents to close a deal here. I mean, you got to know what you're talking about. And then five, relationship/service skills, paramount, hands down. Give good service, take care of your people, it'll come back to you.
Mm.
And we talked about that already. And being truthful. I mean, there's a lot of other things. Relationship service skills, there's a whole subset under there. I'm a very straightforward, truthful person. And I'll tell someone right away, I'll say, I'm telling you the truth. I know you may not want to hear this, but this is the truth. And they start to trust me. And then they'll ask me, well, what would you do? Well, what do you think we should come back at a price? And so that all is in one ball of the five.
Mm, so good. Well, as we wrap up, the last question I have for you is, you've gone through a couple careers and then landed here, and I'm guessing you're taking it to the end, which I love. But what is your advice to somebody that starts real estate at an older age with also like their final career? What's your biggest advice for them?
Don't quit your day job. Be tenacious, be determined, don't give up, ask a lot of questions, get a mentor, use all of the skills that you brought from your prior career that will help you in real estate to your fullest. The big differentiation I see of people who are coming into real estate, maybe in their 50s, 60s, who have had prior careers versus someone who's 25 or 35 who hasn't really had a profession, is that they bring the wisdom of your life skills, which you can use with everything. And those younger agents, they don't have the life skills. They may have some, but they don't have as many yet. So use that to your advantage, and just you have to be persistent and not give up. And if you've got some kind of niche, that's your niche. Like if you're really good with money and finance, work that. Help people get those better loans, whatever it is, and use it to your advantage. It's challenging. Not everybody makes it.
That's
But
right. And this,
but being older is an advantage, especially in my market.
mhm.
Huge advantage because most of my clients are around my age. Yeah.
Right. So there's sort of some deferential trust, right out of the gate. Oh, she gets us.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then we do have the younger clients and I do work with them too, but a lot of times you'll see the younger ones pairing up with the younger ones because they're more on the same wavelength as far as like, why would we ever talk on the phone? We can do everything on a text, which you can, but sometimes phone is important.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah.
This has been a really rich conversation, and you've added so much value and just from your experience. And congratulations on your success. And it it sounds like you have built a great business and, have really leaned into your skills, your natural skills, and the ones that you've developed, since jumping to the industry. So thanks for sharing, this time with us. And I feel like our listeners and viewers will really gain a lot from this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
It has been my pleasure. I feel honored to have been asked to be on the podcast.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
and Kristin James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.